All right, hello and welcome to a Stampscapes Live. I have a holographic printable vinyl sticker paper here. It's the starry type and 8 by 10. We're going to be trying something large here, working with the foamy stamps, and we're going to be seeing if scale kind of influences. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. If we'll see if scale influences kind of maybe technique or something like that. Just being that I haven't done anything this size on the holographic before, so slightly different technique. I like to use Brilliance white ink as a foundation before I make my impressions, and that white is going to be blocking out some of the texturing and just overall kind of visual, I don't know, volume, I guess we can say, of the piece. It's a very loud type of surface. Hello, Texas Dreamin'. Good to see you. So anyways, let's just jump right into this here. All right, so when you're working with this vinyl holographic starry printable sticker paper, we need to come up with some acronym for this. You just have to kind of get the general gist of the location in which you're going to be stamping your main imagery if you want to use it this way. Okay, you can stamp it right directly onto this paper, but you're going to have all of this type of patterning and texture and everything like that shining right through the open areas. On this case, it'll be the open rock areas throughout this space in here. But these trees are, for the most part, solid, okay? But it's in these areas right here that I want to, kind of block out that background and obscure it so that I can do other types of techniques and media within those spaces. I'm thinking about things like shading and shadow areas, bringing in some colors and whatnot. Okay. Now, you wouldn't think that we can just color pigment ink with anything we want, but this sticker paper and this ink are just really fantastic in combination with one another. Surprisingly so. I don't know. It kind of surprises me every time I do it. And I haven't been doing it long. So, all right, so it's going to be right in here. Maybe I should make some kind of little designation on this paper. I'll just go like this. So, roughly about. I'm just going to go, okay, so right up here, it'll go right up here. I'm just using a colored pencil just because I happen to have it right out here on my desk. But what I like to do is I like to go above and beyond, above and below the object in which I am setting the foundation for in terms of this blocking out process, okay? So when I stamp this out, it'll have kind of a look of like some clouds behind it, and I like that look. And again, it makes for a very easy process because I don't have to well, maybe I should make note of where these trees are just in general. It makes it so that I don't have to be so exacting in terms of my applications, and that translates to ease of use, which I like. All right, so hope you're well, Texas Dreamin'. If anyone else is on, hello to you. All right, so I'm using a 100% cotton ball with the Brilliance ink, okay? This Brilliance ink is a fast-drying, water-based pigment ink, okay? It's different than pretty much any other pigment ink out there. It was designed by Tsukaneko, I'm guessing, to have a pigment ink that could dry on glossy cardstock, because everyone was using glossy cardstock back in the day. A lot of people refer to, will that work on regular paper? But regular paper, if you were stamping in like the 80s and 90s, it was glossy cardstock people were using, I wouldn't say more than matte, but it was at least equal to. Um, People wanted a lot of impact, and we were doing coloring with Marvy markers, things like that. So we're talking about some big applications and saturation of color. And yeah, then the pigment inks came out there, and they weren't drying on glossy cardstock. So Sukaneko came up with this. I don't know how many people were using the Brilliance inks on glossy cardstock. I'm not sure, quite sure what the purpose of that would be over, say, a dye-based ink. But I don't know. Everyone had them. It's a lost type of product, or a forgotten product, I should say, just because it is. They have been out there for so long. All right. All right, so I am removing some of this lint off of this. I use this pad right here, this white one, for my cotton, and then I have a separate Brilliance pad for my impressions. And in terms of a white pad, I don't have multiple pads in the different colors here. So anyways, I'm going to be using a lot of color on this, or a lot of ink on this, just because it is the FOAMIES that I'm going to be working with here, and 8x10 is the largest piece that I will have done on this type of cardstock here. So load up and apply accordingly. All right, so I'm going to make some clouds up here too. So let me get some cloud template material here ready to go. Let's see. I'm guessing, okay, that was the straight. I never know which way to tear on paper towels, but there's one, if you tear one way, it's kind of going with the grain, and if you tear across the grain, you get more of this kind of rounded type of form that's kind of conducive for kind of your more cumulus cloud types of formations there. All right, so that being said, let's just get in with it, on with it. All right, so dabbing into my ink pad here, the cotton balls are inevitably going to kind of, fray, and have this kind of loose, kind of fiber look to it. So you want to kind of smash that down a little bit and get that nice and flat, okay? And also you kind of want to load up a little bit. Don't get it like sopping wet though, like if you have a brand new pad or something like that. I mean, I just re-inked this, but my pad was fairly dry. All right. And you're kind of pressing some of that ink back into the cotton ball here. And, you have a good amount in there. Now, because this is going to be a foundation, I'm not worried about the smoothness and evenness of my application, okay? It can be a little bit, or a very kind of blotchy, okay? Normally you don't go for that. We're not usually going for blotchy, okay? But blotchy in this case is not going to be, terribly bad of a look. All right. Now that being said, we do want to taper this slightly, but it's more around the areas that I'm not going to be covering it, because see, if this is blotchy in here, we're going to be stamping this over the top of it anyway, so it's not really going to matter. Okay, now let's see. This is going to be going down like this. Let's see, there's some rocks down here. So I'm going to taper it a little bit. So after I get that in there, I'm kind of working my way down this way, and we'll have kind of a little bit more of an airier type of application because it's not so loaded with ink and leaving a ton of it on my surface. All right, go down below and go up above like this, okay? I want it more kind of above this line right here. This is kind of our horizon line right here, okay? Like that. So I want this to come up in these areas to represent clouds. So, I mean, you could do it like this too. You can come down and go this way too. I'll go back both up and down from the horizon line, okay? But let's see, let's put in some clouds here. Let's see where this, okay, I've left a little mark there so I know where my trees are going to go to, but let me just get a visual of it here too. Okay, so if I come up like this, that will be kind of right within the cloud structure. Hello, Maureen! And I'm just going to go right with this kind of drier, now, cotton ball. It's drier because I've already applied all this down here with one inking. Okay. And again, you're going to kind of taper it a little bit. You can kind of move this around. This is kind of like your, I don't know, kind of makeshift template here. Kind of move it around a little bit like this. And I think it comes out a little bit more, oh, I don't know what the word would be, kind of organic, you know, slightly more natural looking cloud if you kind of, have a little bit more of a varied edge like this. Okay, so it's a little bit softer here, it's crisper here. You know, I mean, you can make it all, you know, soft if you want to, but have the lighting kind of hitting your cloud a little bit differently too. So I can ink this up now and I can go down here. See, this is the edge of your cloud, but you can kind of, if you go like this right in here. Now, like I said, a lot of this is going to get covered up, so I don't even know what's going to be covered up in here. But if you go like that, you see these clouds, it looks like it's varied in form. Clouds, when you use a template, they tend to look flat. They're very stylized and cool looking though too, like a plastic template. But they're not kind of moving and varied like this. Okay, just by going a little bit more free form, and you know, you want to keep it loose. So that being said, again, in terms of an application process, that makes it easier for us because we don't have to go for this kind of smooth, you know, gradation of everything and transitions and so on and so forth. We want variation. See, after I get this stamped out here too, you go above that cloud and you kind of soften up that edge a little bit. It looks like it's a little bit more kind of glowing. So you get the soft edge, but it's kind of a glowing edge too. And you can go as high up there as you want. You can layer it more. You can come out here more and add another one back there if you want to. Let's go ahead and do that. You can make it lighter too. I guess in this case it would be darker because it's more translucent, so you can go like that, you know, where it's not so white. And in this case, you know, working on this holographic cardstock, it's darker than white, so kind of, you know, you have these reflective stars in there and they would reflect a lot of light too. So at certain angles, the white is still a little bit lighter, but there is some white kind of reflective types of effects in there too. So just, I don't know, but I guess if I'm saying anything here, my tip is just to keep it moving and varied, and in this case, in terms of an application, kind of lumpy in it, you know, it serves us well in terms of giving us that more kind of illuminated look of, you know, like real clouds, okay? All right, and then just remember, you're going to be stamping over this anyway, so, you know, you don't really need to get too, see that right there? I mean, look at those clouds in the background. And then it'll, of course, be showing through all of these open spaces in between your forms like that. But see, that gives it a really natural, kind of realistic look in some ways. Okay, now see those clouds up there? I'm looking at down here. Let's get a little bit of that formation reflected in the water down here. So let's see, let's come down here like this. I mean, you could hit this like this way, but I'm just going to freehand it down here. Sometimes the reflected areas aren't quite so, you know, mirror-like. It could just be, you know, the water's moving a little bit. I mean, if it's a really still, super still water, then it would look potentially very mirrored. And like I said, you can go like this up here, and then you can flip it like this down here and go for that, you know, exact type of whatever contour shape. But I don't think I'm going to bother with that. Okay, I need to go even lower here. It's so weird working around this like gigantic stamp in the form of this foamy. This is an Art Foamy, by the way. Now on this, I mean, we could use just standard rubber stamps too. I wanted to do, after I was thinking about doing this today, I really wanted to do this in a mirror card format, but then I thought, oh, you know, first things first, let's just try this in just a straightforward application on the holographic and see how that comes out. I was just kind of, you know, I assumed it wouldn't be too different than, you know, using smaller formats or doing this technique here. So I don't know, sometimes when you work in a larger format, it might open up things like when you work larger, things can potentially look more gestural and I don't know, free flowing and things like that. Usually things that are kind of valued in terms of art. It's, you know, it's getting a lot of gesture into a drawing or painting, and I don't know, you can say it kind of infuses the spirit of the you know, whoever's doing it a little bit more than working small, and things can get a little bit stiffer. Okay. It's because when you're working larger, you're kind of using a little bit more of your, I don't know, probably a larger, you know, portion of your overall body, they might say. But anyway, that being said, this background, I don't know, it's coming out pretty fast. This large format piece shouldn't take, I don't think it's going to take very long. This is the part that usually takes the longest, but it's coming together really well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's easier doing these larger pieces, you know, standard card, you know, quarter page or something like this. You're trying to get, you know, some variation within that space. I mean, which isn't hard, but I'm not finding this to be, I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's taking much longer to do this, you know, which is practically the equivalent of 4 of those ones. All right, so let's take a look here and see how this is looking. Okay, look at this one's going to cover up this cloud completely, so we need to come out here more. And we'll go above quite a bit more. Okay, let's see. Maybe I'll go down like this instead of building up more. But then I don't have any down below. Now, keep in mind, like I said, it's going to be showing up through these little spaces in here too. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know, I think this cloud looks a little bit more natural than kind of doing the, you know, the same type of thing in a smaller format. I don't know, I guess there's just more space to work with. I mean, it doesn't look like that to me, but when I put this over it, I think, oh, those clouds, you know, they look pretty good, you know, because it's contrasted against something kind of sharper, darker, you know. Now, you don't have to kind of block out everything. If you want some of that, you know, that starry type of thing showing through, then you can. You can just don't put on as thick of an application of the white. like that. Hello, Harold and Linda, if Linda's there. I'm on earlier today. I was thinking, everyone in like Eastern, Standard Time. I'm always jumping on. Even for me, if it's like 9 p.m., which is early for me, that's midnight for everyone on different time zones. Yeah, right. It's kind of interesting just in terms of like a surface, if there was like if this is like a horizon line right in there, it looks like a mirrored little area if you had like some horses running like in the water and just stamped it right there. It'd be this like I don't know, kind of like a cosmic, you know, looking I don't know about maybe slightly surreal type of look. Okay, I'm gonna put in a little bit more definition to the clouds here. And just bring my my template back into it, like so. Okay, let's see. There. Huh. Well, let's go right here probably with that. Okay, we need more clouds, I think, on that left-hand side, perhaps. I don't know, maybe not. But let's go a little bit lower, though, too. I feel that I need to put this in right now. I can stamp this out and probably add a little bit more down below or up above, but I think when you stamp this out, if I add more down in this area, post impression, then I'm going to get it in front of it. Okay, now I'm going to do that anyway, but I just want some of that inherently to represent something in the reflected area being reflected from this top area down here. If I add this, okay, I'm going to stamp this out and I'm going to add in some anyway, but that's going to represent kind of this mist in front of it. Okay, but I want a little bit more of some kind of definitive forms up here reflecting down here as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this here. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more of that kind of rounded shape, reflection down here. Let's see if I can get it reasonably matched up, but not too much though. All right, something like that. I think that'll do it. Did I? This? Maybe like that. I need to go down lower right here still, though, huh? Man, I thought I measured it out. I guess I didn't. It's just working with something so large. It seems weird. I mean, this is a big span right here of space, and I'm just not used to doing that with working with like stamps like twice the size. So I keep creeping this down more and more, thinking that's okay. That's going to be plenty of leeway there, but it's like still kind of obscured by the stamp. Okay, so this pigment ink is, I'm layering it down on here, and a lot of people are in these streams ask me, hey, do you need to spray seal this? But you really don't, you know. It's on there. It's just been applied, okay? And I don't know if you can see on my thumb here, but it's just a slight, you know, kind of, you know, transfer on my hand. And I just put down a big blob, but so it just comes to show you just how fast this Brilliance ink kind of grabs hold of this emulsion coated printable surface of this paper. All right. You know what I mean? I can go into this and it's, you know, it's all set, but I don't know, it stays moist enough on there where you can kind of move it around, but it's like when you want it to dry, it really dries really nicely on there. So I like that type of compatibility. It's really fantastic. When you're, you know, when we need it to be that way, or, you know, when we prefer it to be that way, I guess. Okay, so let's give this a little bit of a foreground down here. This is the same composition that I do quite a bit. I'll put some kind of object down here, some rocks or something like that to be, oh, kind of a foundation for the foreground. It gives the viewer of the scene something kind of to go and stand on and to look into the scene as well. It's like a, I don't know, kind of a solid foundation, you know. In a condition, you know, in the situation like of a watery area, if you can have it without something in the foreground like this, but it would have us as the viewer kind of, you know, maybe just floating out in space, or, you know what I mean, looking across there. But when you put something down on this, it provides a little bit more of a, you know, foothold, you know, something to go and stand on. You know, whenever anyone's hiking to an area, you know, and if the destination, if you're hiking on this trail and there's, you know, you're following a dirt trail for most of the way or something like that. If there's some kind of rock overlook, everyone goes to that rock and goes and stands on it, you know. So that's what we're doing right here with some sort of foreground structure, I guess, object. All right, so we have that down like that. I'll put this right down here, this rock like that. And let's go a little bit over the top of it. It'll be kind of the mist on the edge of the shore. That's what that'll represent. So we're coming up like this after we've established kind of a firmer, more opaque application of that white. All right, I think that will do it. We can come across, you know, up top here too, and it could be some clouds kind of overhanging, but I think I'm gonna just leave it at like that right now. All right, so what ink to use on this foamy here? I'm thinking about, I can use the Brilliance Black as well, but I thought I would use the VersaFine Clair. That's a really, of course, rich dark black ink, and I think that would be a good choice here. We do have the hybrid ink, the Moonlight Night here. This is by the maker of the FOAMIES, and I've been using this a lot on here, but in the spirit of experimentation, should I go with the VersaFine Clair on here? The VersaFine Clair, I don't have a re-inker for it, so I'm not sure how inked up this is at this point in time. I've been using it quite a lot. Okay, well, let me just get it on one little area here. Let me just... I'll stamp it out here and just... to make sure. Let's see. That came out a little bit light. I need to get a re-inker for this, but I haven't yet. Okay, let me try this again. Now, this is just, you know, some, you know, copy paper, so it's not going to leave, you know, give me a really good impression on there anyway, but again, just to be, maybe not sure, but let me see. I need a piece of I need just a piece of some regular cardstock here. Okay, here's a piece of white. Okay, let me try this again on the white cardstock. This is stamping out like a, I don't know, it's like a 50% gray. Hello, CM Hawkins and Jeannie. Candy, good to see ya. I've ordered discontinued Marvy markers from 2 different sources. They both came drying out. That's not good. Candy, just flip them over, unless you've already returned them or something like that, but have them, you know, point tip down. When those types of pens are in, you know, sitting around in warehouses, they might have them point up. So if they've been sitting point up for like years, you know, a lot of the ink might have, you know, gone down to the bottom of the reservoir inside. So check on that. I'm watching this while on the elliptical at the Y. Wow, Jeannie. So for every tap that I do, that's 1 revolution there for you. Okay, we're going to go ahead with the Clair here. It might come out a little bit light, okay? If you just joined in, I was just mentioning this. My VersaFine Clair might be a little bit dry, I'm not sure. Or, I don't know, maybe I should go with the Moonlight Night. That's not that dark right here, okay? Just to give you an example of black right here. There's black right here, okay? I might want a darker impression here. All right, I've laid down a lot of white there. No, okay, let me go with this. This is an experiment here. I was going to say, I kind of know what the Brilliance Black would look like over the top of this white in this kind of degree of saturation. I'm pretty sure I know what this moon, you know, the Moonlight one, or the Brilliance would look like too, the other pigment inks, but I want to see what this looks like on here. If it comes out a little bit light, no problem. I'll just know for the future. I don't want it to come out like a, you know, like a 30% gray or something like that, though. Okay, so larger stamps, you know, with this foamy format, people were asking me what the difference is. And I was telling them that just in general, less potential detail, okay, from the equivalent in a rubber stamp, just because, you know, the whole kind of etching, vulcanizing process, etc., you can get, you know, a tiny little dot, you know, perfect. But this is more of a laser etch type of thing. But in terms of impression ease going into this, I don't know if I need to be pressing on like this, you know, like I am for as long as I am here, but it's because I'm new to it still. But I don't know. Every time I do this thing with these stamps here, it's like, oh, I probably could have done that. Impression probably took, you know, could have taken, you know, like a third the time, because the impressions always seem to come out perfectly every time. With rubber stamps, you know, working on an impression that large, sometimes with any kind of irregularity underneath there, because they're so flat, this one's like contouring to, you know, as you're pressing down on here, it's, you know, it's, I don't know, what's the word, squishable. All right, so anyways, there we go like that. It's not too bad in terms of the darkness. It's like a 80% gray or something like that. Let me see what the difference is. Okay, so this one was on, you know, coated cardstock. It's a semi-gloss. So the semi-gloss gave it a little bit of a deeper look, you know, by a little bit. It's like a 5%, you know, darker, would you say? Something like that. Down here, it's a little bit, it's about the same, like that. But anyways, okay, so the VersaFine Clair over the top of white pigment ink. It's not really, yeah, it went on to the directly on the paper a little bit, but I don't know. I think the VersaFine Clair is it's an option for you guys, okay? For us. Let me do this. Let me do this one down here in here, I'll do it in this. We'll just see if there's a difference in kind of appearance. Not easy to watch Kevin and exercise at the same time. Why not? Maybe you need to have like an ink pad in your hand while exercising. Then it'd be easier to exercise and watch at the same time, Jeannie. You can pretend you're at your craft table. Okay, so this is the hybrid pigment ink. There's so many different inks that I'm working with these days and surfaces. It gets, yeah, I wouldn't say it gets confusing, but I tend to forget, you know, certain things of how I did certain things sometimes, or what I'm, not really what I'm using, but okay, that's a lot darker there, right? Look at that black compared to that black up there. Hello, Linda. I just posted a scene on Starry Vine. I love using the paper, but you can't goof and correct. It's pretty, the media sticks to this paper for sure. I find that there's tons of leeway though on this paper, you know, and in terms of this process right here. Like I said, that background, you know, you put that white on there, all blobby and everything like that, no big deal. Because you're just going to stamp the imagery over the top of it, and then if you color it. But yeah, I mean, if you get something down there, I mean, you can't like erase something, you know what I mean, on this type of surface right here. But Linda, you were talking about colors though. I don't know, this is like my colors right here, but my colors right here, it might not be showing it on this surface right here, but there's a dull sheen. See, this is what it looks like, Linda, right there. Linda got this paper and she was wondering if it was, she was seeing blue, but here's the blue right there, right? But then, see, there's, at certain angles, there's the yellows and everything in it. So it's you know, you get all those colors across the surface like that in every area, but at certain, I don't know. I was wondering if, like under different lighting conditions, like say if someone has like an LED or something like that at your table, if we're looking at under different lighting conditions, I was wondering if that influences what colors are being reflected from that type of surface. I don't know. Okay, so, but I've had several packs of it at this point in time, and I haven't seen any difference. It hasn't occurred to me at least between one pack and the next. Okay, so that is that. Let's see. Linda, I want to do this this holographic, a big one like this in a mirror card. Maybe not 8 by 10 or something like that. We'll go slimline or something like this and have it, you know, horizontal like this, but I'll have this out. But I wasn't quite sure. See, if we do this in a mirror card, I don't know if I want to use the foamies. Even though someone said it's cool to use it with the stays on, I'm not sure. I'm not ready to use stays on these foamies yet. You know, well, first of all, I don't have a stays on cleaner, so yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I don't want these foamies kind of getting kind of, you know, like the ink drying on there and it creating kind of a crust or something like that. Hello, Sylvie. Kay. Doctor. Good to see you. Can we buy the big stamp? Yes, you can. These ones are available, and my gigantic redwood tree one, sequoia piece that I did, I messaged KP and I said, hey, if the stamps are doing, you know, okay for you, and if you'd kind of consider, you know, other stamps in the future, my vote would be for that 9-inch tree trunk, because I've used that a couple times. I think I've used it a couple times, and I said, hey, that thing is like awesome. I love using that larger format like that, you know, to represent, I don't know, grand, like nature's, you know, like grand, you know, it's like they're the sequoias are like the tallest living things in the world. And we can kind of represent that in stamping form now, you know, with these gigantic foamy stamps. Who would have thought? The thing that I knew of foam stamps before was kind of interior, I don't know what you would call it, decorate interior kind of wall stamping. I thought that's what those hot potato stamps were kind of designed for. Ooh, that came out really super light right there. We need to do that one darker. Okay, so I'm stamping this over the top of white, okay? This one did not stamp out very dark at all directly onto the vinyl. Okay, the hybrid ink. But I have tested out other inks directly onto the hybrid. I mean, not the hybrid, but the holographic. Here's the Claire, stays on, Brilliance, and Dye. Okay, so we'll go for this one again. It's interesting though, because the hybrid is both pigment and dye, and you know, pigment, and dye worked fine directly onto that. So why is it not working in a hybrid form when you have, like, maybe not this one, but it's like the Claire and the dye would be mixed together? I don't know. Well, we will go, okay, I'm going to go with something thick here. I'm going to go with the Brilliance down here. Let me see, is my Brilliance ink? I'm trying to think if I re-inked this one. I think I did. Yeah, I did. I re-inked this one before I went to Arizona, so I know I have the re-inker for it. So many different inks these days. Oops. Okay, let's see here. I'm just going to eyeball it here. And let's go over this again and see. Now, hopefully I can get that brilliance stamping onto the, this, because now I'm not really stamping directly onto the vinyl. I'm stamping it onto the hybrid black, kind of, light impression. So we'll see how that goes. Genie isn't squishable. I think the lighting must influence it. Mine didn't turn out quite as dark, but darker than before. Interesting. What type of lighting are you using on your desk, Linda? Is it like a incandescent, fluorescent, LED, both? Don't let us stop you from working out, Jeannie. Get exercise in for all of us, or at least for me. All right, so right here, a little bit darker. I didn't. That's not as dark as I'd want here, though. But let's see. Graphite black. All right. Wait. Here's a good graphite black. I brought several graphite blacks. I want to get a lot of black and white brilliance ink while it's out there, while it's available, because I just do not know if it's going to be around. I wouldn't say forever, but for long. I hope it is. But I know that some colors are getting discontinued, so. And then, I don't know, someone told me, oh, it's, they're discontinuing them. But I don't know, I've been told that before about various types of things. And it's just someone that heard it through the grapevine. But then I'll just, go onto the manufacturer's site and I'll say, hey, I heard this. Is this true? And they, I don't know. I think it's a couple times when they said, no, it's, we never said that. And one of them was Sukaneko. I asked them. But this is a while back, though. And I know that, they haven't, like restocked certain colors, so I don't know. And just the fact that a lot of people have never even heard of brilliance inks, therefore they're probably not being demonstrated and used very much, which doesn't bode well, I think, for I don't know, whatever availability and retention. Let's see. You might have taken too long stamping it, maybe. But I don't know. The VersaFine Clear, took longer. But see, okay, my pad was not inked up enough. So see, here we go, right there. I think with the StazOn, inking up something this big, and an absorbent type of surface on here, I don't know if I could do it. Meaning, I don't know if I can get that impression done in time. The brilliance inks would be nice and I don't know, whatever, gentle on this foamy surface too, because they're water-based. So, they just wash off very easily. I'd probably just sponge them off or something like that, or dampen a paper towel and stamp the stamp into it. The foamies do, because of that absorbent type of factor on them, they do absorb a lot more ink. So that, when I was doing that Sequoia scene, I was thinking I probably could have got 3 good impressions out of those Sequoias. with one inking, like really close to the first one, not just like 100%, whatever, right, black. Second one's like 50%, and the third one would be like a 20%, impression or something like that. I think we can get, potentially a lot more out of it. All right. So that is that. All right. So all of these right here, on this surface, they dry pretty fast, all right? But let's get into this and just start applying some. The thing that I really like about this whole process on this type of paper with Brilliance inks, again, it's the ability to go and color or manipulate the objects within that space now. They're just white right now, right? And with these rocks down here, it's a little bit darker up there because I didn't bring that white up higher, But I think that looks fine. It just looks like it's in shadow or something of that sort. But I love colored pencils with this paper. I think it's an amazing contrast in terms of maybe visual. What would it be? It would be visual, like volume. This is a very loud type of paper, okay, right here. And it's quite frankly, it's really distracting, okay? I think I need to have something up here, like some other clouds like this or something like that. So this is like a band of stars. I think I'll do that on this one. But you contrast this against this right in here, okay? But then in this area down here, I think colored pencils are some of the most mellow looking, calm types of media that you can use on something. I don't know, it just always has like a nice kind of, real tranquil looking finish to it. And I just think that looks great in combination with something like this, like a metallic foil, So, Linda, I have fluorescent lighting too here, so mine's diffused, but I don't know, are you still just getting all blues like that? You don't have any of the, these other types of colors in there? The blues are the most prominent, but, there's the reds and oranges and yellows in here. See, like this. It's like a nice nature scene or something like that, with Vegas in the background. Okay, so anyways. Okay, so I'm going to do top lighting in here for the most part on these rocks. This is kind of nice because it's so much larger here. I can kind of demonstrate the idea of kind of lighting in here on a larger object as opposed to this being, from top to bottom like a 1/4 inch. But okay, so top lighting. So if I add some of these colored pencils, okay, now this is just a light tone right here. It's kind of a bluish gray. And I'm going to apply this. You can see the darker sides of these rocks in here, okay? And the top sides of them are lighter. So you can kind of reiterate that lighting kind of description that I utilize within the designs themselves, okay? So you don't have to kind of invent your lighting, but just in general, they'll be darker. The rocks will be darker on the base and lighter up top, okay? Now you can go into these top sides. You don't have to kind of avoid it. You can come into them, with these lighter tones. And I'm just going on with a really light touch here too, because you can always add more. And I've heard that there is like some kind of Prismacolor like eraser out there. After I did the last live stream, someone told me that they have a Prismacolor eraser. I was going to say, if you apply these colored pencil applications down, just do it lightly at first, and you can kind of just build it up gradually. And I wasn't quite sure if there was some kind of eraser if you apply too much of it, but just don't, just don't apply too much at any, with any one application of it. You know what I mean? In other words, just go on lightly, and then, you just kind of keep building it up very slowly. And take a look at it at arm's distance, get the feel of it, of how it's looking, and just apply more accordingly, okay? So when you start doing kind of detailed work like this too, a lot of times we're kind of focused in on really small areas, as we're doing this, and we're not kind of looking at the overall. So keep track of the overall too periodically, hold it at an arm's distance or something of that sort, and you'll get a really good idea of your kind of lighting design, your lighting scheme. All right, so this is just a very light application of this first color right here. And the Brilliance ink is really affixed really nicely, so I'm not scratching back into it. The emulsion coating on this paper just really grabs this ink really nicely, okay? So you don't need to worry about any of that. I don't know if there's another type of, I haven't experimented on this with like a oil-based white ink yet. I'm kind of curious to know if it would dry on here and affix so firmly. Hello, Star. Thanks for joining in. Hello, Debbie. Debbie's a tad late. We called you, Debbie, and we waited and waited, and we just had to start. We were calling you and calling you. I'm joking, folks. All right, going in with the next tone. This is a true blue. I was kind of amazed to see that any of my colored pencils were so small. If you haven't seen my videos, or the ones where I'm using colored pencils, one of the things that I do mention in them is that these pencils are really old, and I haven't used them very much over the years. I probably bought them. I don't know if I bought it. It could have been 30 years ago. And they just kind of been sitting around. I barely used them throughout, I guess that's about, I don't know, it's like a 2/3, usage or something like that. Some of the colors, I don't know if I've used them at all. They're sharpened though. All right, but see, I'm just doing these rocks at the base, and see, they look more rounded now, when you add in that shading into your forms. Even if the forms are already shaded inherently with the the designs themselves, we go in and reiterate that. Now, there's things that happened within these cloud formations too, just from the kind of the random application. I wouldn't say it random, but varied application that I did with these clouds. And one of the things that, see, this is like a little bit darker out here because I put, I don't know if I put that, that mask in here again. Yeah, it looks like I put the mask right here, and I put a little bit more white right here. But see where that's a little bit darker back there? I mean, you could go into this a little bit and say, okay, that's where that kind of shadow was established, and you can kind of hit your shadows with a little bit of color too if you want to, and just kind of reiterate that up there. You see a little bit of blue now in those cloud areas like that. You can just hit it with, I'm going to keep it subtle because this is supposed to be clouds up here, and you wouldn't have like, I guess you could have, some pretty, definitive forms within clouds with a lot of contrast. But in theory, this is like light and airy, and there's a lot of reflected light, and, it's more translucent up there with light showing through things, so I'm not going to put like black up here. Although you could, like if you want to make something like really dramatic, like if it's a super dramatic thing or a Halloween type of thing. You can put more drama into your clouds by having them look more ominous with kind of darker forms within there, like that. But see that? I mean, it's just kind of touching it around in there. And I think that's all it really needed up there. Here's a little bit of a kind of a warmer blue. It's a little bit of turquoise. Maybe that'll kind of look interesting. But you can kind of add that up there. But again, I think all this type of whatever colors and textures, I just find it really, really soft with colored pencils. And I think it just works really well with really loud types of surfaces like this, okay? It just provides such a really great contrast. New Art Foamies not yet released. These ones are all released right here, I think. I think I checked. I checked this time, and I thought, okay, let's see the cove is there, and then these rocks and the spruce is on there. Now I think there were two sizes of the spruce though. I need to go check. But these ones, I think these ones are all on there. That gigantic sequoia one, that 9-inch tall tree trunk is not yet released. I didn't know if they were going to release it at all, but that's, I just said, I asked KP, I said, hey, if the stamps are doing well for you and you're thinking about, potentially releasing some more, my vote would be for that big tree trunk. That big tree trunk is just way too much fun. My biggest thing with sizes and scale, if it's getting really big, I need to see how much of the detail retention is in the stamps, the imagery. If it loses way too much detail, then I don't want those stamps to be at that scale, okay? And that one was a gigantic. Let's say I don't have it right here on my desk here, but that one was a gigantic blow up of the original design. But there's enough detail still within the design that I think it works just really well. So that's one of the things that they sent me out several different FOAMIES when we were kind of discussing kind of an initial release and kind of an ecosystem, that people can get. A lot of people so people that use the FOAMIES, sometimes they're not stampers, like rubber stampers, okay? So that was, that's part of the target audience too. So we had to set them up with a, a decent ecosystem where they can do like a good scene or something like that too. But yeah. Yeah, Candy, I'm with you on the StazOn. I had a StazOn for a long time, so I'm using it now on things like the foils especially. Okay, going on with a darker tone right here. And can you see that right in there? I'm going with a darker base here on these rocks and creating a little bit more shadow with them. And I'll go into the water down here too, okay? Now the water where, there's no white, you really can't see anything, and this colored pencil really doesn't apply, but it applies anywhere where I've applied the that brilliance white. It's providing that nice foundation to, I don't know, to tone. I don't know how old my StazOn was. I wouldn't be surprised if my StazOn pen was 20 years old. And I didn't have a re-inker for it too, or either, because I don't know, I just never used it. I know that was StazOn. it's always in the top three of um, anytime I did the little surveys in my classes back when and whatnot, and at retreats, and we always ask people what their favorite black ink was, and I don't know. It was typically things like Marvy. Um, uh, what was that other one that was super dark? It wasn't Memento. Memories. Memories was one quite often. Super black dye-based ink. And Stays On was always up there too. Sometimes people just, they just use Stays On because they just know that it's going to be compatible. Well, not compatible with like Copic markers or something like that, but just, they wouldn't have to worry about it, when going in and toning their scenes and with water-based media. Not, I haven't asked that in a long, in a little while, but I'm sure that the people's favorite black inks have changed with the availability and advent of different lines of inks too. For me, my favorite black pads are just the blackest of them. And I don't know. Stays On surprises me too. I didn't think a solvent ink would be so black, or as black as it is. All right, so there's some. Now that's looking too blue, but I haven't gone over it with black yet. I'm building up my tones to potentially go for a little bit of richness. I have this purple right here that I was using in my Sequoia piece. I'm going to bring this into there a little bit too, because there are a lot of violet tones, I think, in this holographic right here. Kind of that tinge of see that right there? At certain angles. So I like to have a lot of those colors kind of within my forms down here too. I mean, it doesn't have to be real prominent, but just a little bit of it is kind of cool. I mean, if these are like, colored lights or something like that, that those colors of those, the light sources would usually be reflecting off of, your objects, at least in some degree. FOAMIES deer. Let's see. There is a foamy deer. Where'd it go? I have it right here. Oh, I don't know where it is. Oh. Here's one foamy deer. I'm not going to use it in this piece. Let's see here. I'm getting the stars in gorgeous colors. It was the blue part I thought was different, but I'm not unhappy with it now that I've used it and took a photo. Huh. Let's see. Hello, Sylvie. Could you reproduce, do you think, a Monet Snow or Summer Scene by Stamping? I need to see that, Sylvie. I'm trying to think of a Monet Snow. Yeah, probably. I don't know. Where's Jeannie? Jeannie's on the drive home from the gym right now. I always tell Jeannie that some of her pieces, maybe it wasn't, maybe it was some expressionism. A lot of Jeannie's pieces remind me of stamp expressionism, but some of it's like kind of impressionism too. But yeah, just depending on, I think, a lot of the new media out there kind of opens up a lot of different types of looks and expression in rubber stamping. A lot of stamping is, stamping kind of, this is the thing that I'm always trying to kind of get beyond in scenes. I mean, stamping, and using, we're using a printing medium here, so things often look, very static because we're making impressions. We want them to look nice and, crisp and the nature of them is going to look still, okay? But in nature, like these clouds in here, this is why I was mentioning this too, when we're applying our inks in here, that ink in the background there, I kind of have my applications of this going, and I'm using my paper towel as a template like that. And as I'm doing this, I'm moving the template a little bit like this too, okay, so that it's not just some kind of real stiff form. And then we remove that, and then I apply that ink above and below it in a free-handed, freehand application of it, so that it looks like it's, kind of a little bit more organic and moving and whatnot. And then over the top of these, I apply a little bit more mist. Okay, so that we're talking about Monet here. And, the Impressionists, there's a lot of, movement in their brush strokes. It's a very loose type of style to their strokes to really kind of express kind of a mood and gesture, right, of our applications. But we're doing, we're taking a stamp and going like this. This isn't made up of, a bunch of different brush strokes. So after doing things like this, doing things like, with these pencils or your pens, or in this case, you can use your big acrylic paint pens to go in and add that gesture and kind of spirit of painting into our stamped kind of foundations. I think that's really a fun thing to do. Someone mentioned that on one of my, they didn't mention that specifically, but they were saying, hey, Kevin, some of your pieces lately are, they've kind of expanded from what you were doing before. And I just told them, hey, there's a lot of, that's definitely so. And it's because of all this new media out there that's available to us. I think it's really kind of opened up a lot of doors, in terms of what we can do and kind of looks we can kind of express in stamping. You can make a lot of people that are doing things now. I mean, when I'm kind of scrolling down in Facebook, I look at the scene first. I don't look at the name first, but a lot of people have very definitive styles based on what they're doing post impressions. It's how they're applying their media. So, and for me, that's like super exciting because, a lot of pieces, I love all types of stamping, okay? But a lot of it is, I can't tell, if, these projects out there, I can't tell who did it, you know what I mean? And not that you should be able to tell, but like in a lot of card making, but when it comes to certain people out there, you can really tell whoever did, that piece because there's so much expression in it with their media and whatnot. So, yeah, Monet and all that. I want to see someone do like a scenery a la like Van Gogh with that kind of impasto brush stroke and whatnot. Maybe we need to start using some actual, like, maybe not oils, but acrylics or something like that, and use a palette knife, to apply our media. Wouldn't that be something? Candy, I had a tiny glitter sample paper given as a gift. Brilliance worked great. Oh, that's great. Pencils scratched off that ink. Yeah, if it's not a printable glitter paper, it's not grabbing the Brilliance ink enough. This Brilliance ink on here is fixed on here, really solid, okay? If I go like that, I mean, I'm getting a little bit of white off on my finger, but not too much. I mean, I really have to kind of do that, but yeah, a pencil would definitely scratch off anything on a non-porous surface. But one of the things I was kind of wondering about is a workable fixative, okay? So if you lay down some Brilliance inks or something like that over the top of a foil, what if you spray fix it with a workable fixative, and then you go in and add your pencils back into that, with the workable fixative, adhere that layer of pigment ink on that surface enough, you know, you might have to give it a couple coats, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure what those coatings would do to the glitter. Would it dull it out, or kind of, would you lose some of the impact of that? I'm not sure. But I speculate that I think a workable fixative could be a good solution. In terms of a lot of media compatibility, and I was doing those Sequoia pieces, and I just could not get more colored pencil laid down. You know, I just had oversaturated my surface with the pencils, but I was thinking I could probably put a workable fixative down, you know, because a workable fixative is an acrylic spray coating that has some texturing on it. So I can probably coat it and then have another texture to apply additional layers of colored pencil. Like I wanted to get my Sequoias a little bit more reddish, you know, for that redwood look. But I had already applied so many other tones underneath it that I just, you know, couldn't get, nothing was being applied or transferring anymore. So I don't know, workable fixative might be something to kind of explore there. Hello, Froggy Fresh. There is a big deer in the foamies. Thanks, Froggy Fresh. Glad you like it. No, it's not too much different, but it's just, you know, larger format in the foamies right here. I like my clouds up here. I liked having the freedom, you know, of, I mean, I like doing clouds on small pieces too, but this whole area would be like in this little space right here. But I think those clouds look a little bit more, I don't know, kind of free form, you know, when we're applying it with something like this. In a space like this, you know, when I'm doing it on this, you know, and I haven't done it on a big piece until today here, I'm not, you know, I wasn't missing anything. But then when I do it on here, it's like, oh, okay, that to me looks more cloud-like than doing that same type of application on a smaller format. Smaller formats, though, you know, you can't beat the speed of them, you know, that's for sure. All right, so let's go in. I'm going on with black here. I'm going to have to try this again on here. On another piece. I'm just kind of surprised that one didn't. It didn't leave a very, you know, it left a very light impression over here. Why is that? Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's dry. Because if a water-based, like I said, if a water-based works on there and a hybrid works, then I mean a water-based and a oil-based pigment ink work on here separately, then why wouldn't a hybrid work? It doesn't make sense to me. Even like a dye-based ink works for the impressions directly onto the printable vinyl. All right, so that is that. Okay, one of the things I was mentioning. Okay, so unless we have like a word stamp up here, that'd be kind of cool too. I don't know, I need like a big word stamp. This is a little bit too open to me, so I'm going to do this, you know, some clouds coming from above like this. So this will be kind of like an opening in the sky, you know, revealing those stars in the background like that. I think that'd be kind of cool. I think on this size paper too, if we're going to be doing like a full page thing on this starry, you know, adding in like larger crystals in here, something like that, some three-dimensional elements like that would be kind of neat. I don't know what we do with, you know, with something like this. I guess I made this 8 by 10, so I usually throw it in a frame or something like that, if you ever frame your pieces. Definitely something that'd be more kind of conducive for kind of a wall kind of visibility type of application. You know, you put it on, you know, you can see it from across the room as opposed to, you know, putting this in a frame or something like that and putting it up on the wall. You know what I mean? It's just so small. All right, I lost my, here we go. I was gonna say I lost my pad. All right, let's see. Where should we? I'm trying to think of a shape now. Okay, so I'm thinking I need to come in here. When you're adding like clouds like this somewhere, you have to think, yeah, it's going to be all about the negative space between these clouds. So I don't think I want to just go with clouds like this, like that. Then it's like creating this like super strong V or something like that. I'll just go like this right here, maybe. It's going to have a little bit blobby, you know, because if you hit it in one area, it looks like the light is hitting, you know, that cloud a little bit stronger in one area. So don't try to go like super smooth back there. If it's super smooth, it tends to look like a flat cloud or something like that, like a, you know, like a single piece of, I don't know, whatever material that's been placed on here, as opposed to something kind of dimensional and translucent, you know, that has light reflecting off of it in kind of different ways, which would, you know, be, you know, that's what a cloud, you know, would be. What does that mean in terms of our application? It means it takes you know, the need for or even the notion of trying to be like super careful about it out of it, which makes it easier. In other words, okay, so I don't know, kind of it's like you're kind of sculpting, you know. I mean, this is two-dimensional here, but you know, it feels like you're thinking about it in terms of like a three-dimensional object. Okay, so again, we get that line down here and then go, you know, in this case, below it here. And this is where I smooth it out. Like, you know, those little things are in there. And I don't want it like perfectly smooth, but I just, you know, I don't want it to. It's somewhere in the middle of, you know, some kind of smooth transitions like that. And blobby, okay? Okay, now I have that right there. And then what you do is you just go in here within the form again and just kind of use this in a couple different areas. You don't have to do it across the whole thing. And see, like that? And then you just go in like that and you just freehand it back in there like so. And you have that nice kind of glowing little cloud structure, okay? And you can make, I don't know, some other areas a little bit more translucent and lighter by using the drier application of this and just kind of going in there like so. Okay. That little area up there looks a little bit better now. And let's come over here. Why don't we do this? We'll have kind of a lighter cloud over here, so just, you know, for a little bit of variation, I think. All right, so see that right there? Just by itself, okay, with the, you know, template. And then you go over it like this, and you give it that variation, like so. I like doing this on foils, but on the foils, you know, you can, if you want to, you can just like wipe off the whole thing. So it's like, it has a different feel if you haven't done it on the printable vinyls. On the foils, it's a little bit more fragile, but it's like completely, whatever, malleable. You know, you can really move it around. You can wipe it off even after it's dry on a foil or a whatever, a non-printable metallic. All right, so there's that. And let me see, let me connect that up a little bit. Okay. Let's see. I've had white StazOn with re-inker, never used it. I need to get the re-inker for Mind Candy. I have a brand new white StazOn pigment, and someone told me that has it. They said, "Oh, you got to re-ink that every time you use it," because I barely used it, and it's kind of dry already. I mean, it was dry like like soon after opening. Let's see. We bought a giant chicken today in Foamy Farm. No, I'm just joking. Let's see. I think someone did something, Sylvie. I don't know when it was. It was probably on the Facebook group or something like that. And I said, I think I referenced Monet or something like that. I don't remember what it was. It might have been a field or something like that. Like those like hay bales or something like that. They didn't have hay bales in their scene, but it reminded me of those colors of those particular paintings, that grouping or whatever theme. Um, Put ultrafine glitter for snow. That would be cool. Yeah, Chris, this would be right up your alley. The large format pieces. Your small formats look good too, but being that you're like a painter and sketcher, and you're out in the field doing studies and whatnot like that, it seems like it would give you a little bit more space and freedom to do your stuff. Let's see. Tapping, no blending, right? With the white pigment ink, I'm tapping. I'm not really blending on this because you can't really do that. Once you go like this right on this paper, it's like dry. It sets up really fast. On the printable vinyl. Okay, so that has been added like that. All right. Now let's go in, and what I like to do on my pieces, at least in this type of whatever technique on this paper. I mean, this is one technique on this paper. All right. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that we can do with this. I just haven't kind of explored it yet. I don't know when I started using this printable vinyl. Has it been 2 months yet? Maybe it's been 4 months for all I know. But it doesn't seem that long. But I like doing that base layer of white ink in there, okay, as a foundation for my other images. And by the way, we can probably use all kinds of other types of brilliance ink on there. I don't have a lot of other colors and, whatnot. But impressions over the top of it. But I like going back in and adding more of this pigment ink over the top of the image, so we envelop, some of the forms in that whatever that substance that this white ink represents. And here in this case, it represents kind of moisture and illumination, suspended in the air, reflecting that light. Okay, so in other words, we're just going to be adding some of that over the top of this imagery. And I just feel that the imagery becomes more a part of the scene rather than just kind of, stamping it right over the top. So you just go in like this and vary some of that imagery in terms of value. It becomes a little bit lighter. So we'll have some of these trees. These trees are, for the most part, they're, mono value, right? We stamped them out in one color. I mean, sometimes I alter that a little bit. If I'm rubber stamping, I'll wipe off some of the ink before I stamp it out so that it's kind of inherently varied. But I didn't do that on this one. I just wanted to make sure that I got some nice dark impressions because I'm not used to working with a lot of this media. and the foamies either. So going in here like this and just, just making some of these trees a little bit lighter like that. Out in the distance, it just brings that light into the scene, and it brings that cloudy kind of look forward into the foreground. So you'll start right along right in here, this water edge like that. And see that coming down here with some of that white ink has helped this too. I don't think I'm going to bring, well, I guess I could bring a little bit of it over there, but I'm not sure how much I'll do that. But this kind of white cloud reflection down here makes for an easy transition. In other words, I can just blot it down like that, and it's not going to look strange here because the cloud's already reflected in that water. But see that right there? Kind of go with the light touch like that. But see, that looks better now to me than just a straight, mono value impression of black. Okay, so it's a little bit more varied in there, but kind of oscillated a little bit. I wouldn't put it over everything unless you don't like the whole water's edge or something like that. Something, came out and you didn't like it. I mean, you could obscure the whole thing if you want to. I've done that before too on like a scene. I think it was, I don't know, it might have been Lakeside Cove. I'm trying to remember. But there was one scene that I did one time that I didn't like the color schemes or something like that were happening within there. So I just I put the whole thing under a blanket of fog. And it actually came out pretty good. And that was one of some people's favorite piece, because I made it into an idea card. And I think I had it up in the booth at conventions. So a lot of people asked me to, hey, can you do that one? When I'd be doing some demonstrations and whatever, taking requests. It's like, hey, can you do that? I like that scene where you can barely see the imagery. All right, so that's that lighting in there. See how it's kind of, there's a little bit of oscillation between crisp and soft, light, and I wouldn't say dark, or darker than that. But it's like here, none, here, none, here. The taller trees I've left kind of as is, and I've kind of put it in between those trees. So it's like those distant trees, but you can put it around here in your foreground and whatnot. And it makes it a little bit more dreamy looking, I think, having that light in there. I don't have too much of an opportunity in the foreground here. Let me put a little bit of it. I can see a little bit of that light coming in there. So I'll put a little bit down here. I don't know if this represents, mist on the water in the foreground here, if it's reflecting, that, the clouds up above, could be either, neither. It could just be a little bit of a extra contrast or something like that, or textural contrast, whatever you want it to be. All right, so that is that. I might want somewhat of a little focal point in here. Oh, this one's a little bit too big. I'm going to put my little fisherman, my rubber stamp fisherman. I do have this right here, but I didn't leave enough space. If I didn't have any of this down here, I would have used this as this little boating fisherman as my kind of visual anchor point. But I don't know, that or maybe some birds or something like that up here. And that would be a perfect spot for like a word stamp too. Let's see. Huh. We need something down here, though. Not the birds. Let me see something like that. And oh, here's the smaller version of it right here. Big and small version. See that right there? I'm going to put this right here. All right. Well, let's go with the Brilliance ink again. That'll dry really fast. If I want to kind of put a little bit of a foggy mist around the base of the boat, that would be good to do it in the Brilliance because it'll dry really fast. Most inks that you'd use on here dry pretty fast. Okay, so I'm going to leave the birds out of it. This little fisherman's going to be doing some, I don't know, night fishing or something like that. Okay. So again, it's playing around with a lot of scale in here, using these larger stamps. I'm looking at things that I haven't seen before quite, you know, like this, just in terms of scale. I've done this, you know, type of scene a million times before, but just not at this size. Gooses. We could. You can even do. I was trying to find the Art Foamy. I have that big. I have this pack of the circles, but I couldn't find it. You know, for a moon. I don't want this moon in here. But there was, you know, there's this pack of foamies with the different size circles, you know, and I thought about a moon up there or something like that with it being reflected down here, but I think I'm just going to go with a little bit of extra textures in here now. All right, so adding these little stars in here, you would think, okay, that's not going to stand out. This is like really busy like this as is, but you can see when you go like this, you know, at certain angles, see those stars right there that you add in here with, I guess you can do it in all kinds of different colors too, not just white, but see there, I mean, there without any light in on that, there's those little stars like this, but I think it gives it a little bit of extra dimension. You know, all these stars in here, there's kind of depth in there a little bit, but adding these stars in here in white, and maybe even more so, it just, I feel like I get more depth in there, okay, by doing so. I don't know, this space in here feels a little bit more incorporated with what a lot of the other things that are going on in here by doing this, I feel. Otherwise, it seems like I mean, it's just so foreign of, it's of a surface or medium. I mean, it's the foundation that we're doing, but it is kind of a medium, right? It's holographic material, so it's part of our kind of tools, but it's just, you know, in using it in scenes, it's kind of you know, it's the challenge is to incorporate it into our pieces somehow in terms of something that's going to really stand out and stand out in terms of contrast, or you can do it where it's kind of a little bit more incorporated in, and I guess there's just various degrees of incorporation like that. So I like to have it incorporated in, you know, to a decent degree. So here's my Orion's belt right there. Right there, and here, and here's Orion's sword right here. The other parts of it are behind the clouds. Okay, and then, I mean, we can take some of this too, and I don't know, maybe I should use my 3 millimeter pen. So we added those darker tones at the base of the rocks. Now you can go with the lighter tones on the top side of the rocks. Okay, let me see here. Let me try something here with my 3 millimeter paint pen. This is so huge. Oh, you got your stamps, huh, Linda? Excellent. Okay, let me try something here with this big paint pen. Okay, so these big paint pens are a little bullet tip. One of the things I find with this one right here a little bit is I'm going into this white brilliance ink, and it's kind of going in my tip a little bit, so it's kind of clogging it up a little bit. So let me just use this one. I mean, this is like a huge scene, so we can have like larger kind of little reflected, lighting coming off the top of our objects. Large bits of paint, a la Monet. All this is hardly a impressionist. I'm just joking though. But I do think of the impressionists when I'm doing like things like those autumn scenes with a ton of this paint and just laying down a ton of paint layered over the top of one another, thinking about the representation of light. Maybe more pointillism, but they were kind of in the same period, I think. Okay. Hey, let's do a couple of those stars up here, really kind of bigger. I need to go out somewhere where I can see stars really well. I haven't been out to like camping in a while. It's kind of nice seeing, the stars every now and then. Very prominently in the Milky Way. All right, let me see. Let me get some of these down here in the reflected areas as well. I'm going to use the smaller one down here. All right, so this is what it looks like. I know you can't see, you probably couldn't see anything that was happening in there, but you can see that layering on there now, up in that starry area there with the white. Here it is. Um, those stars like that, and there it is like that. Yeah, look how busy that is. But one of the things I like when you'd go like this with the holographic papers, like that. That little wave kind of moving across the sky like that. I think that's really fun looking at. Or you can go up and down like this. This is like like nighttime or something like that. I wouldn't call this day because it's starry, but I mean it does have a different look when like yellow and orange stars are kind of really prominent like that. But you know, and you can see the white there a little bit more. So I like to have. I find it fascinating that we can have kind of various personalities inherent in the scene itself, like literally, okay? I mean, you can say that, when you do a scene, you look at it and, it looks a little bit different, but this one, like, physically changes, you know, it just, and moves too, like that, that looks like I don't know, like a twinkly, like, one of those, like, Christmas light things where you adjust that little thing and, you know, you have like, oh, lights in motion, I think it is, or you can have it, I mean, that looks, reasonably mellow like that, or like that, it's like super mellow, right? So, your scenes can have your scenes can have various moods. Okay, so let's give some of these stars up here a little bit of an extra kick in terms of texture. My version of this will be 25% version. That's, yeah, those are fun ones to start off with, Linda. And then you're going to be working on, like, 300% this, maybe. I've told you, Linda, you need to do some live streams. We want you to do one of your 11 by 17 pieces, Linda, in a live stream. Do another. Who cares that Halloween's already passed? We want to see you making those monster maps. See ya, Debbie. We see the Southern Cross and the Pleiades. I love the Pleiades. It was super bright. The Pleiades are the Seven Sisters, right? I'm starting to forget about those types of things. I love looking at those super bright stars like that. Always love certain constellations that are really super distinct too, like Orion. What is it? Cassiopeia, Scorpio during certain times. I don't see that Scorpio too often, but yeah. Okay, so I'm going to make a little bit more prominent a couple of the Orion here, like that. Put in a little bit of a glow around it, and I mean, see. So it's tough showing you guys some certain things on this holographic because it's so reflective. It's the thing that people have commented on when they're working on foils too. It's the more mirrored it is, it's like hard to take a photograph of it. So you have to, oftentimes my photos of you have to hold it in your hand so you can get the right angle of light. Like, I mean, that's not going to work right there. We're going to show, put a scene, post a photo on Facebook. So, but where do you, so sometimes for me, when I'm posting, I don't do a photo of these. I go like this, or, you have to kind of go like this and post maybe a little video of it on, wherever, social media, Facebook or whatever, instead of a photo, so people can kind of get the idea of the spirit of it a little bit more. But the reflective ones, I don't know. I always have I'm like, the mirrored types of cardstocks. It's always trying to get my, me out of it, or the camera, because you're taking it like straight on with the. All right, so that is that. I'd almost forgotten about my little boating fisherman down there. Fisherman and boat. Let's add a little bit of that down here. Okay, let's see. 7 main stars, other smaller ones. Yeah, the Pleiades. Those were super young stars, right? That's why they were so bright, right? Okay, so I'm going to try to get a little bit of this tone down here to add a little bit of that foggy, misty effect within that form there. It's almost like it's resisting it, the impression for some reason. Okay, like that. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't go. It's not applying over the black very easily for some reason. Let me try the cotton ball. Okay, there we go. Or not the cotton ball, the Q-tip cotton swab. Here we go. I didn't use this at first because I didn't want to get like a ball of, like white paint, white ink there. But this is applying it very, reasonably gracefully. I guess because it was kind of dry. I didn't read. No, sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so that is that down there. So see, you incorporate your little kind of figures in the same type of element that's, surrounding other objects in there. Okay, so that little bit of a glowing little star up there. I don't know, there's just a little bit of a different texture up there now, so they're not all just like crisp little white dots. You can have some that are kind of glowing a little bit more. On this, as I'm looking at it, probably less important on this than it would be like on another piece of paper, just because of all that kind of motion behind it. I guess they do kind of stand out a little bit differently in terms of their textural quality there. Maybe they stand out a little bit more too, like within that super loud kind of reflected area like that. Yeah, a little bit of that different texture in there, where some of these just kind of without that texture on there are kind of lost in there. Maybe that's good though. I don't know. Maybe we don't want them to stand out. I don't know. I wanted Orion to stand out a little bit more though. And here they are down here. I don't know if you can see down here. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't put too many dots down here. Okay. But you can see them up top like that. So, so the music's off, music's on. It's like one of those things, that those little, whatever they are, those jukeboxes that kind of react to, the music or something like that. That's what that kind of looks like to me. You know, in a good or bad way. I think it's fun though. I mean, definitely this whole scene right here would look different. Let's say if I stamped it over the top of a piece of, blue cardstock or something like that. I think it would look really cool, and I love doing that. But like I said, there is something to be said for, a scene that changes and has different personalities depending on the angle that you're viewing at. Look at that. You go like that, and there's like nothing, or hardly anything. And then go like that. So we need to do, I need to do this, something like this. I need to do what, might be one of the louder scenes possible. I'm going to use this kind of starry cardstock like this, and I have these little glow-in-the-dark vinyl dots that we can use up here as stars in the sky, so that someone could look at it in the light. Oh, I know it would be good. So these little dots that I applied up here, I wouldn't do so many, but these larger, kind of more prominent dots like that, I would put those in those little vinyl little glow-in-the-dark dots like that. I would use glow-in-the-dark ink, but I've found that the glow-in-the-dark inks that I've tried so far, they're kind of anemic. I charge them up with light, for a few, whatever, 10 seconds or something like that. Then I switch off the light, and it, the glow lasts all of like 3 seconds or something like that, But those little vinyl dots I found work pretty good. So I don't know. You'd have a scene that could look different and change in the, you know, depending on what lighting you have on it. Then you shut off the lights and you would have, you know, that, or, you know, something like, you know, glow in the dark stars up there, provided you have a little bit of light where you can see. You don't want to just turn off the lights where it's like completely pitch dark and, you know, a couple little things. It'd be kind of, you know, if you have a little bit of ambient light coming from somewhere else. You know, your night light in the bathroom, you know what I mean, is showing a little bit of it or something like that. And I keep saying this over and over again, but I think this paper would be really fantastic if you have a, you know, you're stamping out something for a kid or something like that, you know, where it's a little bit more interactive and hold their attention. You know, if you can hold the kid's attention for an extra, you know, few seconds, that'd be awesome. And then, like I said, that glow in the dark type of application would be, you know, something that would be extra special, I think, you know, and that would hold their attention for, you know, like 60 seconds, you know what I mean? Because they charged up and go into the bathroom with it and at least check it out, you know. And, you know, I don't know, maybe they do it again. I'm not sure. Like I said, maybe they put it next to their bed, you know, at nighttime, you know, where they can check out the, that little glow-in-the-dark type of aspect to it. And what better paper than some kind of like starry, you know, holographic like that, that's going to change colors for them. I think that would be kind of cool. So, yeah. Anyway, let's see. Oh, is Jeannie back here? Let's see. Froggy Fresh's St. Bernard says, Happy Thanksgiving, but only if you have treats. Anyone have a like a turkey-shaped kind of doggy biscuit for her Saint Bernard? Yeah, Linda B, do a Christmas map. I was thinking about a map for like Christmas, or like what are those calendars that you open up? You know, a different day. But I was thinking, I don't have like a lot of Christmas imagery stuff at all. Not, you know, I have a lot of like monster stuff. So for Halloween, but I just don't have that stuff. But yeah, like a Christmas. I just can't think of it right now. You know, the thing that you open up like one day, each day or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. Even if you don't make it to open up, maybe you can have little things like that. You know, or someone can animate, you know, do a theme, you know, for some like Christmas song or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. I'm using the cotton buds. Yeah, those come in handy there. This needs framing. Well, I did do it in 8x10. I did do it in 8x10 so that I can put a little bit of a border around it, potentially, in terms of a card or whatnot. But anyways, yeah, I think this is, you know, kind of fun to work in, this size right here. It felt, I would say the one part that felt different were the you know, that the cloud creations. Now, I've done, you know, decent sized pieces before in that type of cloud, you know, application and whatnot, half page scenes and whatnot. I don't know if I've done a full page scene doing that, but this was a pretty extensive area of clouds like that. I mean, from top to bottom, you know, that's, you know, a decent amount of space like that. So, but it didn't, the thing that surprised me was it didn't take as long as I thought it would. But potentially, you know, I guess, you know, because maybe I'm using kind of smaller portions of my cotton balls sometimes when I'm using, you know, a smaller scene. So the equivalent on this would probably be, let's see, this is like half the page, right? So the equivalent of something like that would be like this amount of space right here. So, you know, I mean, when you're doing that from the top to bottom, it's like the length of like 2 cotton balls or something like that. So, yeah, it's a little bit different, you know. It's a little bit more free form, I guess, when it comes to that. I don't know, Linda, did you get the 11x17 vinyl? I'm joking. I don't think it no, you know what? I think it might come in 11, but I did see 11x17 on certain things, I think, now that I think about it. I kind of joke about it, but I don't know. Some of these printer companies, they might have had something like that size. I'm not sure if they had it in the vinyl though. I'm sure they had it in the white vinyl. Um, I don't know about the pearl. I'm just talking about koala. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's some other brands or something like that. With the amount of sleep you get, surely you can do a couple. Christmas maps need a more need a name more catchy. Christmas. I don't know. Yeah, someone think of something for that assignment there. Laminate them for placemats. That would be interesting. That would be horrible to see all that work covered in food stains. I'm not sure, I'm not sure what that laminator, I guess that would be fine running it through this type of thing. Are you talking about this thing through a laminator or the monster maps or something like that? But, or Christmas maps. This, I guess, would be fine with that heat because this is, this paper is supposed to go through a printer. So, that printer and that ink transfer, it gets really hot in there. So I would guess that would do. I'm not sure what a laminate coating over the top of this, if that would reduce the amount of light hitting that reflective surface, and if that would change that, you know, the reflective quality of that. I don't know what it is. I guess it's foil, right? I guess the vinyl, it's coated with some sort of foil. I think it would have to be, right? Because it's metallic. And then over the top of that, they have that emulsion coating, which makes it printable. I have no idea. But yeah, I'd be kind of curious to know how that would affect the holographic color changing aspect of it, or if it would at all. I'm not sure. You like the scene, Jeannie? Jeannie, you said you were holding off from doing some of the metallics, though. You might have to try some of the metallics. Maybe you ought to get the holographic one. We have you on that. You're on the Turner assignment. Turner, I referred Jeannie to the landscape artist. What is his name? William Turner? I forget his first name. But she's stamping like Turner in that her latest pieces. Hello, Karen. Been a while since you caught a live. Good to see you. I was looking for you after you left. Thanks for the D gets confusing. For the what if we had a Linda? We need a Linda C, in between B and D. Pumpkin chip muffin. Those seasonal muffins are out there. Let's see. Advent calendar. Thank you, Linda D. Yeah, yeah, yeah. People, we should do some kind of like advent calendar. I don't know if I can though. Like I said, I guess I could do it. It would be a winter, scenario or something like that. I don't know what like maybe 10 of my little things would have to be like rocks though. Yeah. Or something like that. No, you know what I do? I have a bunch of my old Stamp in the Hand images, like Christmas ornaments and that type of thing. Now that I think about it, yeah, I guess I have a ton of Christmas stuff. Now that I think about it, now I don't know where those things are. I have them somewhere, but yeah, I used to have a ton of Christmas themed images over at a Stamp in the Hand company, which that's another company that I used to work for. If anyone doesn't know that, let's see. Oh yeah, Froggy Fresh. You were mentioning something about that with the Facebook whatever probation or whatnot. Laminate would change the shine. That's what I'm thinking, Karen. It could. The thing about this, though, too, what Linda B was mentioning was she was mentioning, the finish looked duller, right? Was that what you said, Linda? This laminate, I mean, not laminate, but this printable vinyl does have a very dull look to it. I know this looks really kind of light and shimmery and all, and whatnot, but if I can get the angle on this, it's hard to get the angle right on this, where guys can just kind of see that kind of more dull sheen. I don't know if you can tell like that. But okay, so this is let me see it, like if I have a piece of holographic. Okay, so this is like holographic foil right here. Okay, cardstock. And this is the printable vinyl. Now they're different. This one's a, holographic, starry, with that pattern on it. But you can tell, you know what I mean? Look at those colors on there. See how dull they are on the printable? It's because it has that coating over the top of it, what makes it able to accept those different inks on there. So I don't know, maybe that it's already kind of dull, and if we put a laminate over the top of it, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't. Because since it's already dull to begin with, I don't know, maybe it wouldn't affect it too much as if we were doing it over the top of something like, here's another foil right here, that this one's like super crazy. But yeah, quite different in terms of surface quality like that. At certain angles, like when I was doing that UFO alien abduction cow scene, the photos that I took were really dull looking. It's like, I don't know, like they look like that. It was, I don't know, at every angle, I just couldn't get like a really nice shimmery look in a still photo, okay? A little video one, if I go like that, it looked pretty cool. But I don't know, it looked really dull. And this one looks kind of dull too, except for at certain angles, like, I'm looking at it at an angle, like, I can't even show you what I'm looking at. But it looks much better in the video here because I have that lighting coming from directly overhead like this. But I'm viewing this at a 45-degree angle from where I'm sitting, so it looks really quite dull. Maybe like that or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, the laminates and all that type of thing. I don't know. And maybe, I don't know, maybe a spray sealant too. Sometimes the spray sealant can get through like a dull coating. Like when our scenes dry, if we're doing something on like a white cardstock or something like that, or a white glossy cardstock, and we lay down, a lot of dye-based inks are on it or something like that. Certain dye-based ink brands, they dry really dull looking, and sometimes spray sealing it cuts through that surface layer of that dull sheen, and it reveals kind of a brighter, I don't know, kind of the base coat layers of tones that we've applied, especially when it comes to transparent media. So I don't know, maybe I'll have to do an experiment. I'll just take one of these out there and I'll put a spray sealant over half of it and see if it kind of cuts through that dull sheen that's over the top of it. It might make it brighter and kind of more exciting, and also kind of protect it a little bit more. I've kind of been worried about doing that on other card stocks, though, like something like this. I think it could potentially make it duller looking, but on a dull surface like this with that emulsion coating, maybe it'd look, I don't know, maybe it'd look brighter, it would cut through that. I don't know, but it seems like there'd be a chance of it because that emulsion coating on here, it is, you can permeate it. It's like, it's like sticky, so those inks can penetrate it. So we might be able to do something like that with a spray sealant. I don't know. If anyone finds anything out, let us know, and it'll increase their our learning curve, or I'll speed up our learning curve when it comes to usages of kind of unconventional whatever media surface combinations like that. Yeah, the cold laminate, that's interesting. Uh, that would be interesting. It'd be interesting if you put that cold laminate starry um, vinyl over the printable vinyl or something like that. That wouldn't that be kind of interesting? Yeah, William Turner. I was going to say I thought it was William Turner, but I was going to say that was also the name of that that character in Pirates of the Caribbean. Okay, let's see. On the Yahoo groups, there was 5 Lindas. Were there that many? Wow. Doing a stamp onto decent paper, scanning it, and then seeing if I can reduce it into miniatures. I'm fine with that, yeah. I think that'd be kind of cool. Yeah, absolutely. You know. You know what I think would be kind of cool too, with some people's, someone was mentioning, who mentioned Monet, okay? I was mentioning on some people's pieces too, there's that printable canvas surface. It's not canvas, but it's kind of like a canvas-like surface. But as some people, um, so some people mention, like framing pieces, okay? And if we're doing things with a lot of different types of inks, like especially dye-based inks, most inks out there. I mean, memento inks are supposed to be non-fading, right? Uh, Meaning they're light fast, okay? But I'm just not quite so certain about how light fast they are. I've never done a test, but it just seems strange that they would be, completely non-fading. But if people did pieces, maybe not this one, not with a where you want that really reflective like that, but if you do a piece that you really like, I think it'd be kind of interesting to scan it or get a photograph of it and to print it onto different types of surfaces too, like that printable, the printable canvas. I got some of that from Koala. I haven't tried it out yet, but you wouldn't have the original piece subject to that type of light exposure that you would get by putting it up on display. And then, I mean, if you can have something up there and, you can change out, to a new scene whenever you want to, and you'd have your original scene nice and intact. And when I don't have my pieces on display and they've been put away, I pulled out some scenes that I did, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago, and it still, I think it looks the same. I don't think it faded at all. So, hello, Travel Dreamer. We're just starting out here. 8 by 10 printable holographic vinyl sticker paper. I think I got all the descriptive words in there, all the adjectives. There's a lot of them in this paper. I just wanted to try these larger pieces. So that one was using the Art Foamies stamp. Look at that. Can you imagine this? This is 8 inches across, and this spans that whole piece of paper like that. It's crazy, to think of. It could have been, I cut off, that half inch. It could have went across the entire piece like that. I think this is 9 inches across or something like that. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. This reminds me. It reminds me of like a. It reminds me of like a jack-o'-lantern mouth or something like that. Doesn't it look like that? You can put this up against a pumpkin and outline it, and this will be like the inside of a mouth. I'm probably seeing that right now because Halloween just passed by. So it's a lakeside cove and a jack-o'-lantern mouth. At the same time, we planned it that way. You would have to do some tests, then put it in a window to check out. Yeah, I thought about that. Someone mentioned I need to do that light fastness experiment sometime. I don't know, maybe I'll do that this week. The good thing, I think I would do it on maybe a matte paper, glossy cardstock, and I don't know if that would change, but maybe play around with some of the pigment inks as well, you know. So I think if I do that, and then what I'll do is I'll cover, I'll have a bunch of different sample swatches, and then I'll cover it up, and we'll just see how they perform. We would have to do like colors though, like say like a Marvy blue against a Memento blue or something like that, or maybe the black inks would be a good one to go with too, and just check out their light fastness. I don't know if it'd really matter, but but I guess how many pieces are people putting up on display and framing that they're where it's going to be up for 10 years? I don't know if that would really how important that is to people. But I don't know. I do hear that from people though sometimes. They're putting their stuff up, and I just think that um, dye-based inks, just in general, they fade pretty fast, and usually the brighter the color it seems in like the art world and whatever, the faster they lose their intensity and value. Okay. I've sent like my mom like cards before, and she's had it like on the refrigerator, and it's like every year you go there, it's like that card is like getting duller and duller. Whereas some people, like I went over to my uncle's house, I think one time, and he had a card up that was really old. Maybe my mom stamped it out for him or something like that too, but it had been up for years and it was like practically disappeared. I think the pinks, I think she sent him like a, you know, Valentine's Day card or something like that, and it was the reds were like non-existent at that point in time. Hello, Karen. Karen V. Let's see. They're pretty fun, Froggy Fresh. Froggy Fresh. You can do for those trains, those big trees. You can have a whole sequoia, giant sequoia forest. With your train um, scenarios, ecosystems going through something like that. It'd be kind of interesting though. These foamy stamps like this, not with all of them, but you know, like Froggy Fresh, they're setting up like these different train scenarios, but you can take these larger stamps like this and stamp them on foam core. I used to do that with my Greco-Roman pieces for one scenario. It was setting up this little kind of diorama that was going to be like an in-store display. Stampa Barber used to have these little nooks, or whatever they call niches or whatever. And for all the different manufacturers, if they wanted to, they can have this. I don't know how many inches wide it was. It was like, I don't know, maybe 20 inches wide or something like that by 10 inches deep. And you can come up with this little display in there. And what I did was I stamped out a bunch of, this is almost like a column, but it's like a tree. But I stamped all my pieces on foam core and colored them in and whatnot. And then we had this kind of more, three-dimensional type of thing. And then in there, you display the stamps, to go along with it or something like that. But that was kind of cool. Maybe I should do something like that too with the foam core pieces, where we actually have images like trees like this kind of raised from the surface and coming out, from the background. I always thought that in scenic stamping we need to do more three-dimensional types of applications to really maybe we're not making cards or something like that with the foam core, but I don't know. I think we can kind of I don't know, come up with some interesting scenarios. More shadow box types of things like these trees in here, and maybe not the trees in here because I wouldn't want to cut that out. I mean, you could, but it would have that kind of outline around it, unless someone has like a, I don't know, whatever those wire cutters or something like that. If it would, yeah, but it wouldn't. You wouldn't be able to get through the cardstock portion of like a foam core piece. I don't know. Yeah, it's something. I don't know. We need to do more three-dimensional types of applications in scenic stamping. Uh, because it's perfect for that. And like that train set, scenario, with like reindeer grass and stuff like that, or moss on these things like that. We come up a little bit, with things like puffy paints and things like that for snow and and whatnot. On something like this, I was mentioning crystals, but I think we need to go up a little bit more with like an eighth of an inch or a quarter inch, you know, out from the surface, and I think that would be really cool. Um, yeah, and the model train world, there's a lot of tips that we can take and techniques from that world, that's so established, and they have all those types of things. They even have little miniatures that you can add into a scene. And I think that'd be kind of cool to get like a shadow box or something like that. You can go get a real cheap one at probably like IKEA or something like that and play around with that and have things like that in there. So, yeah. All right, folks. I don't know when I finished this one, but a pretty large scene right here. I don't think it took, it didn't take too long. These pieces like this, for the size they are, I don't know how much time goes into the impression. But the monster maps, like, again, were a separate thing. We have like 40 different, stamps, used like in one piece, and we're doing multiple impressions of certain stamps, that takes a bit of time, but on something like this is what is like one, two, three stamps. Well, four with that little fisherman and boat down there. But these larger format pieces, you know, in terms of coverage, the colored pencils and whatnot. Here's the Sequoia piece right here, but the impression part of these, it really doesn't take very much longer. Yeah, just because it's so big. So. I still want to do this piece right here, but I want to do it in vellum. I found out my vellum's 11 by 14, so it'd be like this big. But I'm just kind of curious to know. Oh, I cut it out right here. I want to do some of those trees, those really big trees in here, but then have, a lot more trees in the background of those large kind of sequoia trunk types of things, but I am just not sure if I can put a spray adhesive on the back right there, and if I can get this gigantic piece of vellum adhered to this. I have a hard enough time sometimes doing the half page, you know, vellum and getting that nice smooth application without getting a bubble caught in the middle like that or a bunch of like ripples running across it. Um, I know that we'll have to see. And because this isn't going to be flat either, because I'm going to be stamping some big trunks in here, and then I have to go on the back and I have to kind of block them out with the Dr. Martens, so it's not like this is going to be like a nice flat piece. It kind of gets a little bit rippled with, that paint drying on the back of it, so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe a live stream wouldn't be the place to, try something like that. There's potential like utter failure with that one. With everything else, you can kind of do other things to kind of work around things if things kind of go off the rails. But that's like a potential, you know, putting a lot of work into the coloring, all that type of thing of the vellum and painting on the backside, only to have like this gigantic kind of like gigantic wave, of a bubble kind of trapped in the middle of it. Sometimes what I do is like puncture it with like a X-Acto blade, and try to get that air out of there, but then it leaves like these other little ripples around in there. I don't know. Yeah, maybe we just need to try it because I've been talking about it, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that. Maybe I need like thicker vellum or something like that, where it's not gonna be so wavy. Linda says vellums too. Yeah, maybe a smaller piece, would be good. I don't know. Fuzz powder on those trees. I love that idea. Yeah, I need to get some of those types of things. Oh, God, I forget what that thing is that people use for grass on like dioramas and stuff. I was watching these videos of I don't know, someone Someone's on YouTube. I don't know. It's they get millions of views, but it's like these super realistic dioramas where you're putting some kind of adhesive down there and applying some sort of thing in there for like grassy textures and whatnot. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, 3D types of applications. Yeah, Laura, I do use a brayer on there, but it's just the problem is it's that initial kind of adhesion. Like if it's like caught out here, like even like a span like this wide. I mean, because you have all the paper out here, and it's like grabbing on everywhere. If it touches down, it is like really hard to peel that off and to lay it down like that. And you have to kind of brayer it from the interior out like that because that paper, it's like that wave, you know. But I don't know, maybe using a lighter coating of adhesive. But then I thought, when I started doing that later, I started using more adhesive and I thought it worked better and created kind of a tighter adhesion. And I think it was more translucent too, yeah. So having more adhesive on the back of, you know, this translucent surface like this, which blocks out, you know, a lot of what you have. Look at what it does on the foil like that. You know, it's like invisible back there. You can see the stars like at that angle, but you know what I mean? This is, you know, fairly, you know, I don't know where it is in the translucent opaque scale. Okay, so this is reasonably black. It's probably knocking it down 50%, but if I applied more adhesive in between this and the background, I thought it kind of penetrated this a little bit more, making this a little bit more see-through. I think that's what it was. I don't know. I'm still working out the, you know, the details with the, you know, that vellum technique there. But I think that's what it occurred to me at one point in time. And I thought I got a little bit better of a adhesion though. But, you know, doing it something that gigantic is kind of a, you know, it kind of freaks me out knowing what I ran into kind of just with the smaller pieces too. So yeah. And the brayer too, like I said, that brayer, it's, if you get a bubble in there and it's trapped and you have that bubble right here, you are not going to brayer that bubble out like that distance because this whole area in between here is, it's already, you know, glued down and it just doesn't. So you have to kind of use your, you know, like your thumbnail or something like that to work it out. But it's just, it doesn't make it out there. So sometimes, like I said, you have to pop the bubble and try to get that air out of there instead. So something like that. 2 or 3 movie length streams. They add moss. Is that what it is? It was this powdered thing I think I saw someone doing. I don't think it was adding, like, I have some reindeer moss, but I saw them doing this other thing. It was like this fleck or something like that. And it was kind of interesting. Do you ever use eyelets to attach? I haven't. That sounds familiar though. I think it works to lay the vellum down like you would wallpaper. Yes, like this and like over, you know, then it over there. Maybe. But then when I did that sometimes, I guess you need to do it with a lot of leeway so that when you have it down over here, by the time you get over here, where you thought it was kind of lining up top, but by the time you get over here, it's like, you know, it's kind of going off the rails a little bit. And by the time you get over here, it's like a 1/4 inch off or something like that. I think that was what I was running into with that too. And again, because it was, you know, it's like I'm using this real wavy piece of vellum too that's not flat anymore. And it doesn't necessarily lay nicely because it kind of, when you put that paint on there, it kind of puckers it and it kind of pulls it in a little bit when it dries, you know, in terms of the paint on the back side of it. And it doesn't take too much of that to really change it. It's like, I don't know, it's weird. You have to really kind of, where an area that you've painted on the vellum, let's say that there's a large tree and it's like blocked out on the back with all white, this whole area around there gets like, what's the word? Constricts or whatever. It pulls in tighter like that. So, and then if I had like 3 or 4 trees across there, I don't know, we're talking about it. I'm just gonna have to. I'll give it a try sometime. Maybe I'll try it on the smaller format though. you know, maybe like full page. You know, isn't it strange that way? I'm thinking about like a full page scene like that. That's going to be the smaller size. You know, when we're talking about you know using like these big art foamies or something like that. When was the last time we were thinking about kind of a small format being a full page? You know. But I don't know. That's what it is. I guess it would kind of up the ante with in terms of scale potentially. You know, but I don't know. I do see some pretty interesting applications for these larger stamps. I don't know. It's a little bit of a different experience. It's kind of fun, you know, doing these larger scenes like this. But they're just I don't know. I don't find it when I'm doing a large piece like this. Like I haven't been working these foamies for very long. This is like what I don't know, fourth video on it or something like that. I hadn't touched a foamy before that. You know, it's not like I'm practicing off screen or something like that with these pieces. You know, anytime I've used them, you've seen it here on these videos. But I don't know. Working with an 8.5 by 11, you know, well in this case it's 8 by 10, but you know, when you're working with a stamp that big, it mentally it feels like I'm still working on a quarter page card or something like that in terms of the amount of applications. Yeah, the colored pencils, you know, but the colored pencils it's just like you're just covering more area. It's not like a different technique or something like that. So yeah. Double-sided adhesive sheets. You can remove the backing paper slowly as it lays down. Possibly. Um, but would that obscure the things that you have in the background too, though? I don't know. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna be stamping on both. Let me see the back and front of the vellum, plus whatever I'm laying the vellum down on. That is going to be stamped in the background too, though. So I think anything, if you add anything in addition to it, with the amount of kind of obscuring of background images that you would already inherently have with the vellum, we might not be able to see things on the foundation paper that I'd be using. I don't know. I was thinking about printing out something like clouds or something like that too and doing a photo stamping. I'm not sure. But yeah. Cut the vellum larger than, yeah, we'll have to go definitely larger with the vellum and do it that way. I think I did that recently with something else. And then of course it sticks to the, you know, your paper out there, but you can just cut that off like that. Add eyelets or brads into the design to secure it. That'd be interesting. I'll have to look that up. I can't visualize that. But that sounds familiar though. You're gonna start buying paper by the rolls, Kevin. I was telling KP over at, you know, that makes the Art Foamies, watching her stamp and use the Art Foamies, I thought, oh my God, there's like all this media that she's using that you can use on these foamies that you wouldn't use on rubber stamps, you know. Like she stamped out her imagery in black gesso, you know, by just adding it on there. I mentioned this in the previous video too, but like black gesso impressions, and then over that black gesso when it dried, she was able to use all kinds of different media, and it didn't, you know, we're not blurring out things like ink, you know what I mean? That, you know, would potentially blur out with other types of media. The black gesso was like really on there nice and firm. And then she was doing all kinds of things like layering other colors and coloring it in, just eyeballing it and going right over it and over it again. And it was looking like more and more three-dimensional, which was kind of, you know, interesting to me because, you know, we wouldn't do that normally with traditional stamping media and inks, you know, but with different types of paints. I forgot what she was using. Was it watercolors or something like that? Or acrylics? I don't know. She was using a bunch of different stuff, but it was all like a bunch of different stuff that, you know, I haven't used in like years, decades, you know. I'm not even sure if I still have some of it in my like my art supplies from college. I still have a lot of that stuff, but haven't touched it since whatever classes they were called for. But okay. So anyway, oh, the adhesive is clear. Well, that's good to know. Okay. I need to take a look at that. What was that again, then, Laura? What is that called? I lost it up here. Brayer. Oh, here it is. Double-sided adhesive sheets. Are there a bunch of brands for that? Double-sided adhesive sheets. Clear. Okay, well that would that'd be better. That would be. It seems like it would be less. I don't know. It seems like it'd be easier than the spray adhesive. Spray adhesive though. I guess the spray adhesive. We'll use the spray adhesive on like smaller pieces. The spray adhesive sounds like cheaper too. Just you get a ton of usages out of one can or something like that. Okay, got it. All right. Kind of like playing with a gel plate. I haven't used the gel plate, but yeah. In terms of how she was using that pieces in there, it's like printing. It's like going back into um, like a printmaking class or something like that. We're doing printmaking in theory with rubber stamps, but we're not using it with all that different type like traditional printmaking media. But yeah. That's exactly what it kind of reminds me of. Just in terms of the stuff that we're able to use it with, I wouldn't liken it to something like wood block or something like that, but just in terms of the overlapping of media like that and building up and layering, and especially with we can layer with kind of more opaque styles of media in terms of like paints and whatnot. Definitely can achieve some of the looks of that type of thing. Yeah. And that stuff, like I said, I haven't worked with in years, and it wasn't like I was like any good at it either after taking like one or two classes, where I was using some of that stuff and not in the manner in which, I'd be using it with these stamps either. So I don't know. There's just a ton to learn, and I think there's a lot of different possibilities here. So like I said, I was telling someone I haven't even touched the surface of some of this stuff, so, or all of it, in terms of the foamies. So I need to know what doesn't work with it too, and I think that'll be really important. So I don't know. I didn't get a good impression using the hybrid ink for some reason right over the top of that. So I went with the I can't even remember. Did I use the Brilliance down here? I think I went with the Brilliance, or I don't know. And this one was Claire. So the Claire worked really fantastic over the white Brilliance ink in here too. So yeah, I need to get a Claire re-inker too. I think I could have got a darker impression with that Claire, VersaFine Claire in here. Had I had a black re-inker, I'm sure it would have stamped out darker. So yeah, as if I didn't have all enough new media that I'm working with. This is like exponentially more possibilities here, but definitely fun. And I don't know if you've been kind of going around and you've been stamping for a while and you want to try something, it might, it might be fun for you to kind of, throw in a couple of these foamy stamps and just play around with them in a different method. I've been using them right now in these last couple scenes. I did a little bit of experiment with that little kind of watercolor thing, stick where you add it on there. And yeah, I need to start spritzing that type of stuff and using, the stamps on things like a cold press or watercolor paper and really take these things out, for a you know, a test drive and new media and surfaces and whatnot. And I don't know. It's a different world, I think. Acrylic paint, she probably was, like I said, she was using a lot of those stick. She gave me some of those too. What were those called? I played around. Oh, yeah, yeah. It was the Inktense blocks, okay? So getting those kind of impressions kind of inherently within that and kind of manipulating it, it's like a really foreign, you know, concept to me in terms of usage. I've seen, you know, those things done and I kind of understand it, but I just haven't played around with it in application to know what I'm doing at all, you know, so I need to play around with those types of things and, I don't know, pull some of these brushes that I have, but I don't know. I don't even know why. I haven't even used these types of things in a while, so I have some brushes. You know? And they've been sitting on my desk for like 20 years, you know. I've probably used them for something, but I can't remember. I don't know. Time to pull some things back into the put some different types of tools back into the rotation. Yeah, the Inktense, those look pretty interesting, you know, from my initial test. But like I said, I just did it once, so I was watching KP use it, and she was showing me how to do it, and I thought, oh, okay, I get it, you know, with the foamy type of surface on there, and you know, being able to take water like that onto this type of surface, you know, and the benefits of it. So you can go for those real kind of watercolory, you know, kind of, you know, real gestural types of impressions too. I think it'd be interesting in this foam format. Or again, you know, on rubber, in terms of certain types of things, you wouldn't do that, you know, because it would be puddling up in the negative space, I think, and you'd be stamping them out, and you know, you'd be getting these blobby impressions or something like that. Where on this, it's getting kind of absorbed back into that, and you're, you know, you have your surface still there, but it's not puddling up as much, or if at all, you know, because it's getting absorbed in the foam, you know. So I don't know. That type of thing is, I need to get that into my brain somehow and get that whole type of surface quality kind of aspect of it kind of, you know, registering in my you know, my limited brain capacity here. Hello, Beverly. Good to see you. Thanks for joining in here. We're just wrapping it up here. I'll show you what this looks like right here. This is an 8x10 larger foamy, you know, application of the vinyl holographic starry sticker paper here. Look at this. This is sticker paper too, so you can just like peel this off and put it on your, you know, stick it on your window or something like that. And have this like really big piece. Might be some kind of interesting applications you can do with these types of things too, and have it for, I don't know, seasonal types of things. I mean, this is kind of Christmassy. I mean, if you put this paper up next to, you know, a Christmas tree or something like that. I'm not saying this scene, but that looks like those lights in motion to me, you know, and same colors too. So, I don't know. Is this a Christmas paper? You know, potentially. I think it'd work just fine with that. Yeah. All right, folks. Have a great rest of evening. My gosh, it feels like 9 o'clock here when the daylight savings has ended. So, I don't know, it's 6. So, fun stuff. Maybe the next piece will be a vellum, you know. I don't know if I'll have that adhesive, you know. The double-sided adhesive sheets clear right here. Thanks for the tips on that and the other types of media too. Always learn something from you guys as well. So thanks again, and we'll see you hopefully on the next or future live stream. FOAMIES, foamy fun. Foamy fun time. Ah, Omaha, Nebraska. I didn't make it out there. I always wanted to get out there to Nebraska during my teaching days. 2 a.m. That's the perfect time to stamp, Karen. You got the nice, the left brain shut down, and the right brain can, you know, the creative side can be set free there. All right, Jeannie. Good night to you. Good night, everyone.